Yo, what's up, y'all? We got a little bit different this time. I think I'd tier list some teams, the WNBA teams, based on their expectations going into this next season. The what is it? The preseason is like tomorrow or today, actually. So with that in mind, let's get into the tier list. The names of the tiers should be fairly self-explanatory. Tier one, win or shame. If you better win, or quite frankly, you're gonna get slandered, and the pack is gonna be immaculate. Tier two, it's not the end of the world if your team does lose. However, you are on the clock. You better get it done quite soon. Tier three, playoff team. Quite frankly, your team should make the playoffs. Tier four, playoff hunt. Your team should be in the mix, but not necessarily. It's not necessarily the end of the world if your team does miss the playoffs. And development, I don't want to say like it's not a we don't care, but we're watching for the development of the players. The team success is not important for those franchises. So let's get into it. Starting out with the Dallas Wings, they should be in the playoff hunt. I think they should be a playoff team. I think they are competing for a playoff spot. However, this is the second year of Paige's this is the second season for Paige Beckers, and Arike is coming off of a Downey season, so she should be closer to what she looked like beforehand. However, it's still like it's still ultimately a stark turnaround. It's not unheard of to go from winning like 10 games to now winning like what are they looking for, 24-ish games? I'm talking about wins obviously. So, yeah, that's certainly not out of the realm of possibility. I'm just slightly holding back the expectations that they should be in the playoffs, but I'm leaving some room for, you never know, and they still have a bunch of young players on their roster, so they should be in the playoff hunt. I think they should be a playoff. They probably should be a playoff team, but I'm gonna be conservative and be put them in the playoff hunt. Seattle Storm development. We know what they're doing. They're tanking. They got picks. They got Flage. They got Awa. They got Dom. They're tanking. They've got the youth movement. They're tanking, and it's awesome. We love to see it. But ultimately, the end goal for these teams is going to be we're watching for player development. They're playing for player development and for the future. And I'm glad that they chose this direction because I think at least the Seattle Storm fans that I were following were very pro move into the next era via the young talent with Dom and embrace the tank. And they've embraced the tank, so that's cool. Minnesota Lynx. Now, Fee will be out for like half the season, so it really depends on how well they're able to stay afloat for the half a season that she misses. Because when she comes back, I mean, when she comes back, they'll certainly be competing. However, also with the losses of Alana Smith, Jessica Shepard, Maria Kondakova, their roster has certainly um, somewhat been depleted. They have made some new acquisitions, but ultimately losing a co-defensive player of the year, a defensive player of the year caliber defender. That's a really big deal. Ultimately, Cheryl Reeve is one of the best coaches, probably the best coach in the WNBA. So she can work magic, but so much of their success will hinge on the first half of the season. So I think they should be in the playoff hunt, but if the first half of the season like really is just an absolute disaster, then they could just be like, all right, this is a gap year. Let's embrace the tank for just this season. Feed, make sure you're ready to go for next season. But ultimately, a lot of their success it depends on how well they are able to manage the first half of the season. Because once V comes back, they're absolutely gonna be competitive. So I'm gonna say playoff hunt. I'm gonna say playoff hunt just for the fact that they may be underwhelming to start the year and may just cut the rope. Indiana Fever. Time's ticking. Time's ticking. You have what a lot of people would consider 3 top 10 players on your team. With that in mind, especially coming off of the season you just had where you were 1 game away and overtime away from making the WNBA finals, quite frankly, time's ticking. It's time. You're in contention mode, but ultimately, Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston are still young. Kelsey Mitchell's like in her prime. She's been in the league for a minute now, so she's not quite young, but ultimately, the big 3, they still have time, but you better really start capitalizing on some of your opportunities because now the expectations are really, really settling in. Chicago Sky, they've basically, all their moves in free agency have indicated that that they're going to be competitive. They're going to be in the playoff hunt. So with that in mind, they internally probably want to be a playoff team. From the outside looking in, I think they can be a playoff team because they have Skylar Diggins, they have Azurá Stevens, Dejanay Carrington, they have Rickea Jackson and Camilla. So ultimately, they have some vets combined with youths, and ultimately, most importantly, we do want to see development from Camilla and from Rickea. But with them acquiring those vets, and ultimately, I do think those vets do value. They want to win. The players on that team want to win. The moves that they've made in the offseason indicate that the front office wants this team to win. So they're going to try for the playoffs. I think they can make the playoffs, but I'm not guaranteeing that they'll make the playoffs. But they should be competitive. They should be good, ultimately. I just hope that the young players do develop well, because that's honestly the most important. Those are the most important pieces for their organization moving forward. Especially because they don't have, what is it, the Mystics have their pick next year? Connecticut Sun, yeah, we know they're developing. They have Lila Khan, they have Anissa Morris and Aya Rivers. They're developing. They have a young core. They're gonna move to Houston in the 2027 season, but this is ultimately they're still a couple years away, and that's fine. Now, the New York Liberty. I think we all know where this team's going. If you lose, you will get packed up, and there will be some glory. If you lose, many fan bases will be dancing on your grave. Will I join them? Who knows? But if you lose, quite frankly, win or shame, if you lose, you're getting all the slander and you deserve it. So the Liberty certainly deserve to get absolutely clowned on if they lose this season after acquiring Satu Saboli and keeping their main core together. That's a big 4. Of course, last year they also had the expectations, but ultimately they got destroyed by injuries. So we kind of there was kind of a pack, but it wasn't we didn't go crazy as much just because we had an understanding that it was kind of a season where what could go wrong did go wrong. So assuming health though, you lose, it's over, fam. It's over for you. The Atlanta Dream. You're on the clock. You're on the clock. You better start winning now or soon. You have Alicia Gray. You have Ryan Howard entering her fourth season now, I believe. You acquired Angel Reese. You still have Bree Jones. Still have Naz Hillman, Tahina Pow. You better start competing. Now. Absolutely. You're on the clock along with the Indiana Fever. We are watching. You have time. You still have time. But contention starts, the window starts now. For real. Get on it. We're watching. The Valks playoff hunt. They lost. Who did they lose? They lost Carla Late. They lost Monique Billings. Did they lose Temmie? I forget if they lost Temmie as well. But either way, this was a team that made the playoffs last year off of grit, working their butts off on defense, really smart stuff defensively via when they went zone, when they switched back to man, when they put up a bunch of 3-point shots. So ultimately, this is a team that tries to really just win on the margins and out-hustle you, outwork you, and hopefully the threes fall. They acquired Gabby Williams. They still have Veronica Burton. So those two will be absolutely hounding the ball handlers, hounding offenses. Ultimately, though, they still don't have an elite scorer or tier 1 creator, which ultimately hinders where probably their ceiling is. But, it's still not the end of the world if, oh no, a second-year team doesn't make the playoffs. It's not the end of the world if they don't make the playoffs. However, I do think they are going to be competitive. That's what all the indicators, that's what their culture is built. So they should still be a fun watch. They should be in the playoff hunt, absolutely. I actually might bump the Dallas Wings up. I think they should be a playoff team, honestly. They really should be a playoff team now that I'm thinking more about it. They can miss the playoffs, but I think they should make the playoffs, actually. So I'm going to move them up. Now, Las Vegas Aces. Win or shame? Beforehand, I wasn't exactly sure if I was going to put them up here, but since they acquired Kennedy Carter, and I watched people on Twitter dooming over Kennedy Carter going to the Aces saying, oh man, it's over. And if that's the reaction that people are giving, you better win. You better win now. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if people weren't moved by your depth too much last year. If you acquire a player and fan bases and I see some fan bases going, no, how could they do this? How could they do this? If that is the reaction, if that is happening, you better win. You better win. They also have a prime Asia Wilson, Chelsea Gray, and, well, maybe not prime Chelsea Gray, but prime Asia Wilson, prime Jackie Young. They should win. All right, now, LA Sparks. Everything has indicated that they should be a playoff team for sure. They have Kelsey Plum. They just got Neko Agumike back, and she's still a very impactful player. They still have De'Erica Hamby. They made the Ariel Atkins, Rakia Jackson trade. All of their moves have indicated they should be a playoff team for sure. A pairing of Kelsey Plum, Neko Agumike, De'Erica Hamby, Cameron Brink, Ariel Atkins. They should absolutely be a playoff team. And if they don't, it would be a very disappointing season for them. Now, another team that I think not making the playoffs would be disappointing for them would be the Phoenix Mercury. Ultimately, the Phoenix Mercury, they have Alyssa Thomas, they have Kalia Copper, and Alyssa Thomas is at the end of the day one of the best floor raisers in the association. Not making the playoffs when AT has what, she just got an extension like 3 years or something, and she's gonna be like, what, 34 going into the season. And I think they've said that they're trying to maximize the window of competing and building around Alyssa Thomas. If they can't make the playoffs, that would be a disappointment. So they should be a playoff team. I think I'll jump and skip the Portland Fire for now. Leave the two expansion teams alone for now. The Mystics, they should prioritize development. Ultimately, and I know that the Mystics were kind of in the playoff hunt last season before they made the Brittany Sykes trade. So it was like they were competing beforehand. It was like, whoa, hold up. We're too good right now. Let's move off of Brittany Sykes so we can go back to being in the lottery. So ultimately, I understand why people might be higher on, they should be in the playoff hunt. But they still have real young players. They just got Lauren Betts. I don't think they're ready to. Well, I think they can go not all in, but they can try their best to compete and maybe be in the hunt. But what's most important for them now is to figure out who they are as players, develop into more so of what they can be, and the organization also needs to figure out which of the players they plan to keep, which ones are absolute mainstays and are untouchables. So ultimately, development is what's most important for the Mystics when we're not looking at them to make the playoffs or necessarily even be in the playoff hunt. So they're fine in development. Portland Fire. I don't know what they're doing. Let me look at their roster again one time. Yeah, I'm looking at that roster. It's very uh it's one I might just straight up make another tier just to distinguish something else even more. There we go. New tier added. Embrace the tank. I'm gonna move the Storm down. They should they should absolutely embrace the tank. They're yeah. And then I'm gonna move the Portland Fire here. I don't love their roster in terms of competing necessarily. They have a bunch of it's an expansion team, so it's not anything crazy. Ultimately, I think a lot of the indicators are being like, we're not going to be good. Let's embrace that. Let's embrace not being good. So I think the Portland Fire, their expectations are, and they should really just embrace the tank. It's fine. It's cool. It's cool. Just tank. And then lastly, the Toronto Tempo, I think they should be in the playoff hunt. I think having Brittany Sykes, Marina Mabry, a Julie Allman, they got Temi. They should be looking to do the absolute best that they can with their roster and try to make the playoffs. So I think that's my tier list. I think I'm fine with it. I don't think it's anything too crazy. I like the tiers. I like the placements of a lot of these teams. I think it's fine. I definitely think these two teams should embrace the tank. It's fine. Just tank. Did I do a good job? Let me know. Maybe. Maybe I did. Maybe I didn't. I don't know. I'm trying.